KC Sunbeam here. I'm ashamed to say that I have done numerous foolish things throughout my lifetime. However, there is a difference between that and being a fool. A fool is one who is consistently foolish and won't change. Proverbs 26:11. As a dog returneth to his vomit, so a fool returneth to his folly. One who fails to care or think about the future or the consequences of actions. One who refuses to face reality. One who won't learn from their mistakes. A nincompoop, the opposite of a wise man. A startling example of a fool is a popular subject of the Soft White Underbelly YouTube channel. This man calls himself Rebecca and lives on Los Angeles' Skid Row. Spotting a fool by their physical appearance. The great majority look just like everyone else. However, these three criteria are indicators of a fool. 1. Anyone who is covered in tattoos, body piercings, or has unusual body modification. 2. Any woman who goes out in public with short shorts less than 5 inches wide or with her breasts or butt popping out. 3. Any man who dresses like a transvestite. Spotting a fool by what they say. 1. Anyone who spouts lots of intellectual talk that is far more confusing than valuable. For example, the infamous criminal Charles Manson and the aforementioned Rebecca. Quoting from Isobel Carmody's book, Ashling. Fools blow air out of their mouths as often as their bums, and either way it causes a stink and comes to nothing. 2. Anyone who regularly prattles or chatters, quoting ancient philosopher Plato. Wise men talk when they have something to say. Fools, because they have to say something. 3. Anyone who advocates a path that is clearly harmful and acts upon it. Spotting a fool by what they do. 1. Anyone who does criminal activity, quoting Benjamin Franklin. Tricks and treachery are the practice of fools that don't have brains enough to be honest. 2. Anyone who gives no regard for their personal safety or securing of their property. Other ways of spotting fools undoubtedly exist. Some other types of fools. 1. Quoting poet Thomas Tusser from 1573. A fool and his money are soon parted. A. Anyone who attempts to make a living gambling at casinos. B. Any man who spends money on an OnlyFans or webcam girl account thinking he is in a relationship or will form a relationship with a young woman through that. C. Anyone who regularly sends money to a person on the internet whom they never met because that person claims to be in love with them. D. Those who become bankrupt through get-rich-quick schemes. 2. Those who refuse all help. A. Drug addicts who never accept offers of treatment. B. Homeless who never accept offers to help them back to their feet. C. People who choose to stay with violent abusers for years. D. Endlessly refusing needed emotional support. E. Those who would refuse needed medical treatment for themselves or their family, such as a blood transfusion based on misguided religious nonsense. In fact, anyone that shuns any help involving personal effort, change, or accountability due to pride or laziness. 3. Those who refuse to accept any advice or learn anything new. Proverbs 1:7. Fools despise wisdom and instruction. Proverbs 10:8. The wise in heart shall receive commands, but a prating fool shall fall. Proverbs 12:15. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he that hearkeneth unto counsel is wise. Proverbs 15:5. A fool despiseth his father's instruction, but he that regardeth reproof is prudent. Proverbs 28:6. He that trusteth in his own heart is a fool, but whoso walketh wisely shall be delivered. 4. Anyone immersed in a cult. Some examples of cults are the Branch Davidians, Church of Scientology, Fundamentalist Latter-day Saints, Mormons, Happy Science, Heaven's Gates, Realism, and Unification Church, Moonies. Quoting Nicholas Gomez Davila, a confused idea attracts a fool like a flame attracts an insect. But beware that anyone can become victim to brainwashing, also known as mind control, thought control, or menticide. 5. Those who always think presuppositionally. Presuppositionalists may claim that their approach recognizes and reasons from the basic presumptions or fundamental beliefs that underlie all thought and worldviews, or that this involves identifying the foundation of a person's rationale. But to presuppose is to form an opinion or judgment beforehand, often involving circular reasoning. These beliefs are taken for granted and rarely questioned, yet shape how we interpret evidence, make decisions, and understand reality. This leads to unwarranted assumptions, conforming to groupthink, and suspension of critical thinking, reason, wisdom, and logic. Besides a block to learning, it is damaging if the presuppositions are noxious. Should we ever associate with fools? No! Proverbs 13:20. He that walketh with wise men shall be wise, but a companion of fools will be destroyed. Proverbs 17:12. Let a bear robbed of her whelps meet a man rather than a fool in his folly. Should we spend time trying to correct fools? No. Proverbs 23:9. Speak not in the ears of a fool, for he will despise the wisdom of thy words. Proverbs 27:22. Though thou pound a fool in a mortar as a pestle smiting dried barley, yet will not his folly depart from him. Also know that there is a correlation between foolishness and evil, and between wisdom and goodness. But beware of rashly calling people fools. Instead, we must deeply examine ourselves first and make corrections where necessary, and realize that it is easy for anyone to fall into foolishness. Quoting Soren Kierkegaard, there are two ways to be fooled. One is to believe what isn't true. The other is to refuse to believe what is true. Finally, from Luke's Gospel, chapter 12, verses 16 to 21. The ground of a certain rich man brought forth plentifully, and he thought within himself, saying, What shall I do, because I have no room where to bestow my fruits? And he said, I will pull down my barns and build greater, and there will I bestow all my fruits and goods. And I will say, Soul, thou hast much goods laid up for many years. Take thine ease, eat, drink, and be merry. But God said unto him, Thou fool! This night thy soul shall be required of thee. Then whose shall those things be which thou hast provided? So is he that layeth up treasure for himself, and is not rich toward God.